everyone, what is going on? Welcome back to another City Skylines 2 video. Today we're going to be starting a very special series where we are going to be building Grand Haven County. I'm very excited to start this series. I can't wait to see where it takes us. My original thoughts for this county would be that there's a bunch of little small towns kind of dispersed everywhere, and that we would connect them all with some rail infrastructure and really prioritize trains and metros and public transportation in general. I think that would be so fun to kind of experiment with and see what we can do. But first, looking at this map configuration, it seems like this highway infrastructure is a little bit wonky. We have this existing highway coming in, and then it kind of branches off and like does a bypass almost. But I want to get rid of this part and eventually just connect the main highway back up to the pre-existing highway, and also make it all above ground, because right now it's going underground to go under the river, but I want to make it above ground so it's a little bit easier to access, and it'll just be easier to kind of, control and see what we can do with it. So I think that's the first thing that I'm going to do in our new map, is going to just get started with some of the road infrastructure and lay out our initial road layout. I'm very excited to kind of get this ball rolling and see where it takes us. So let's just dive right into it, shall we? Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is that I'm just going to delete this already pre-existing road. I want to get rid of it, and then we'll also get rid of that. We'll plop in a new highway. This is going to be one tile apart, so we're going to pop in a new highway and kind of just follow the existing curvature. Let's take it out to here, and then we'll raise it up, not by 10 meters. Let's do 7.5 and really get this right here on the edge, just like that. And then we can just make a little bit of a bridge coming right over. Perfect. And then we'll take it right back down to ground level onto the other side as well. And then we'll kind of make it curve a little bit, just like that. That's perfect. I kind of don't really have like an existing plan for how the road layout is going to look. I'm kind of just want to like see where it takes us. I don't really want to try and just go with straight grids. I really want to try and do like a loose grid layout. So like while we still will have some grids in the city, I don't want it to just be primarily grids. I want to be able to, kind of just form to the land and form to the topography and everything like that. So I think we're just gonna see where it takes us, and I think right now we're just going to keep building it out to get this straight segment in, just like that. And then we are going to save hooking it up later. Right now I just want to be able to make sure that we have some sort of connection in the city, so that we can start getting some people in here. So I think the first thing that I want to do is I want to raise this up, this road, and get a small bridge segment coming over. We'll do 5 meters. Perfect. Okay, there we go. So we got this elevated segment in. That's going to be one of the first connections that we have coming into this city. And then I want to take it back down to the ground. We'll do 120 meters on each side so that it's even. There's an even slope. 6.2% isn't super awful. I think it's pretty decent. It's not going to be horrible for truckers or anything like that. But yeah, so now we have this segment. I really want to try and now hook up the highway and get this connection going. I kind of want to do some sort of half clover leaf. So like we'll have a circle here for getting off and then going back on, and then we'll do the same on this side, so that this way we don't take up any land right here or over here. So I think that'll be fun. So let me just mess around with this and I will be right back. Okay, here's what we have so far. It looks a little wonky, I know. I'm just trying to get a connection in for right now. I don't really think anybody's going to going to be coming from this part of the highway anyways, but they will be getting back on. And of course, I want to upgrade this to a 3-lane segment once we unlock that, so that these merge lanes don't have to be super short, and I don't want any congestion in the traffic, and those also just look better anyways. So we'll definitely have to reconfigure the layout once we unlock that part of the highway, but for now I'm just going to do this on the other side, and then I'll get right back to you. Here is the somewhat finished product. It is such bare bones. Obviously no one's going to be using this on-ramp because this highway leads to nothing. It looks awful right now, so just, bear with me while we get the road layout infrastructure going and we unlock highways. We'll make it look good, I promise. But right now it just needs to be functional so that we're able to, start building and get some people in here. So that's what we're going to start doing next. I am going to be extending out this collector road just a little bit. I want to kind of follow this coastline just a little bit. So we're going to curve it over here and then make it do a 90-degree turn to make it follow the coastline just a little bit more. I don't want to have it be right up against the coastline, because I want there to be enough room to have smaller local roads that we can have like waterfront housing over here, or parks or businesses, stuff like that. So I kind of want it to just like be somewhat more inland and provide that main access that people are going to need. Now that we have this part going, let's try and get some smaller local roads connected up and start zoning in some housing and get our first residents into the city. So I'm just going to do a small time lapse, and we are going to start placing down these roads and getting these houses in. So let's do it. Okay, here is what we've got going so far. As you can see, I wanted to build this road that goes right up against the shoreline, and I didn't leave much space between the actual water and the road, because I wanted these waterfront housing to be a little bit smaller, not like super huge. I'm also thinking about potentially getting rid of this peninsula right here. I kind of want this to be a little bit bigger of a bay and provide more water, like just be a bigger bay inlet instead of having it be blocked off. But for right now, I want to, we have this somewhat sort of a grid pattern almost, and I don't want to put too many intersections on the collector road because I don't want there to be a bunch of traffic and a bunch of congestion. So I did my best to put as few as I could, but still maintain a good amount of access points. So yeah, I think this is a really cool suburb so far. It's pretty fun. I expect there to just be really cool houses and a bunch of trees and everything right up against the water. I think it's going to look perfect. But before we do that, we also have to get our water and electricity sorted. Now we do have this electricity inlet already here. We got some power lines that we can just hook up. And I think I'm just going to follow them right next to the highway, but we need to get a transformer station, so we're gonna put that right somewhere close. So we're gonna put it right here, right on this road, so it still has road access, and then we can just hook it up right there, and then now we've got power to our street grid, which is perfect. But now we have to figure out what we want to do for water. I have this French water tower with the French pack, and I love how good it looks. I think it would look really cool if it was somewhere on the coast. So I think we should try and put it somewhere over here. Maybe this could be a park, so there's not any residences over here. but we still have this area for water, so we don't have to worry about any noise pollution or anything, or also any pollution in general, and letting that affect the water quality. But with that, we do have to give it some road access, so we're just going to do a small gravel road that leads right up to it. There we go. That's perfect. But now we have to get rid of all of the waste. So now we see that the water is flowing towards this bay over here, and it's going out. So we want to try and dump this somewhere. I am definitely going to be getting rid of this as soon as I can. I just only have this available to me at the moment. So we are going to be dumping this a little bit further up the coastline. We could probably just put it way over here, and then we'll just have to get a small road that connects to it. Give it some road access, and then we'll hook it up to the main road. So that way we still have power, sewage, and water, and then now everything will be running. So now we are all set to finally bring in some residents and, get this party started. We're gonna see some of our first people living in here. So I think what I want to do for housing, well, obviously let's do the waterfront housing first. This is the North America low density waterfront housing. So we're going to just place a little bit of this on the front of the water. We're just going to get some really small lots up in here. It doesn't have to be super big. I don't want it to be super big because we can adjust. But we're just going to put some small lots up in here, make some different sizes so they don't all spawn in as the same thing. So we're going to get some of these going up in here, and we'll let it play after I finish, and we'll see what it looks like. So now we've got some of our first residences being zoned in, which is perfect. We're just going to keep zoning in a little bit more waterfront housing. And then now as we fill in these grids, I think we should just do regular North American low density housing. I really want to save some of these really cool housing options for later episodes. This is a North American themed map, so I really want to try and stick with that. I do imagine this being somewhere located in maybe the northeast part of the United States. I do kind of imagine this map being located in the northeastern or midwestern part of the United States. I was thinking maybe somewhere in like Michigan or Wisconsin, Minnesota, but even it could be like New York or Vermont, Maine, Massachusetts, somewhere in that area where we have more boreal trees. It's not super tropical. It's not going to be warm all the time. As you can see, it's 65 degrees in summer, which isn't super warm for the Northeast. So it would make sense. So I'm just going to stick to some of the North American housing for now, and then we'll get some of these lots filled in. Now, before I go too crazy with all of the zoning, I want to, with all of the residential zoning, I should say, I want to start doing some commercial zoning and get some businesses up in here because people obviously need places to work, and there is currently none. So let's just get some small businesses up in here, get some commercial activity, and get some life onto this collector road, because this is going to be where a lot of the businesses are going to reside and where a lot of the shopping activity is going to be taking place, is right along this road. So it's going to be somewhat busy. I don't want it to go down the entire road because I really do want this to be somewhat of a smaller town. Like, I don't want it to be super huge. So I think we're going to zone along the coast along here, fill some of this in, but also make sure that we leave some room for our rail line and get some rail access in. I think it could come up into here, or maybe we could just have the train station be over here in this area so it stays along this coast along where the line already pre-exists, and then we can just kind of build off of that. But we are going to need a train depot, and we aren't going to get to railroads for a while. I need to unlock basic transportation services, and then trains, and then trams and subways. So I really want to try and use trams if I can, but I do want to focus on trains for intercity transportation, because I don't want all of these, like, this is obviously going to be somewhat of a city right here on this peninsula. I would assume it'd kind of stop over here where these hills kind of start. So we have this smaller city over here, and we have this train station that kind of goes down here. We could have another city maybe over here, and then we could come down to here, have another city down here. You know, there's so many options. And then we could always go up north as well, maybe a city across the bay, some city over here, you know, maybe around this lake, maybe around this lake. You know, there's so many opportunities for us to like build cities. So I'm very, very excited to keep going with this county. It's going to be so fun. I think it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see how it turns out. It's going to be awesome. I think like the goal of population that I'm going to try and go for is maybe around 75,000. I don't want it to be super massive. There might be some sort of like taller buildings, but not necessarily like skyscrapers. I don't imagine this being a super like dense city area. While there are a bunch of cities around, like I imagine it's more of like a suburb of like a huge city rather than it being the big city itself. But you know, we might always change our mind. So we'll have to see. So along with that, we are going to also start building out this way. I want to make sure that we do have enough room for the train station over here, but I want to make sure that we also get some industrial as well. I don't know exactly how I want this to be configured, but I know that we need to start getting some industrial zoning in here. I think we might just like build some up against the highway for now, because you see like there's a bunch of hills over here, so maybe we could have some industry up in the hills or something, maybe around this hill right here. Yeah, we'll have to see. And also looking at our farming, we do have a little bit of fertile land. So we could definitely have a city be over here and, you know, kind of thrive off of the farming over there. And like I said, over here, there could be another city over here where maybe we have some farms up against the coast and like it's a little bit denser towards these two lakes. And then that's why this highway would be running in between along with the rail line as well. And then of course, like I said, we could have a city over here maybe, and then have some farmland over here and get some farms going and get some local produce, which would be awesome. And you know, you could always like have those farmers markets and all of the special shops and everything. It'd be really cool. So we can't really build anything in this area because there's not really much to do. But we do have some forestry that we could potentially go for. Not a lot of mining, which is fine because it's not necessarily a particularly rocky map, but we could do some forestry. But before we do anything like that, I want to speed up the simulation just a little bit. None of these houses have really been built yet. I really want to see them be built, so I think we're just going to wait for them to kind of, you know, spawn in. There seems to be a little bit more housing demand, so we can go ahead and, oh, this is perfect. Great, we are at a tiny village. This is awesome. So now we get all these really cool buildings. Super excited to use these. I think it'll be so fun. Now we have medium density housing, which is crazy. I don't think we're going to use any right yet. I think we're going to wait until we have maybe around 2,000 people to do some medium density, get some more people up in here. But for now, I wanted to see what we have available to us. So now we have basic healthcare services, we have a hospital, and we have a crematorium, and we also have recycling and basic garbage management services. So I definitely want to do a recycling center because I hate having incineration plants. I think they're awful. Let's get a crematorium so we can start taking care of dead people. And then for water, I want to do a water treatment plant. So then we can get rid of our drain, which is perfect. Okay, so over here, I want to unlock this tile. I think this would be a pretty good place to put a water treatment plant. It's like right on the coast. It's a little bit like it's kind of got some designated piers and stuff, inlets, all that anyways. So I think we're going to unlock that tile. We're going to purchase it, and we're just going to purchase the one below it as well. which is great. So now we have a bunch more land available to us, and then we can get started on building a water treatment plant as well. In the near future, I want to still get all of these zoned in and, serve some more of that residential demand. So we're just going to pop in some more housing in here and get a lot of this filled up with some residences and start getting our population going. Look at this house right on the water. We'll probably reconfigure the waterfront just a little bit so there's not some of these edges too. We'll probably go back in and detail it at a later date. I definitely want to add some vegetation, some docks, stuff like that, make it look all really nice and pretty. But we'll do that once all of the houses come in and we kind of really know what we're working with. And we can kind of also go with the vibe as well. So the last thing that I want to do in this episode, I want to continue expanding the road layout and get some of our services in. I think that we need to set ourselves up for a good future, especially for the next episode. I want to get the recycling service and the medic clinic in. So we are going to just place some smaller roads over here. This is going to be more of an industrial kind of district area. I think this could be some sort of like a business park, which would be really fun. But right here, I definitely want to do some industry and get all of that going. But I need to make sure I know this. Okay, so the small medic clinic, this can go over here. We'll just place that right there for now. We'll just get it down, and then the recycling center, we have our landfill and recycling center. I'm doing a recycling center. It's quite big, so I think we should probably let's see what we can do. Let's curve it in a little bit so that it goes a little bit closer to the highway, so that we have a little bit more room for the train and the recycling center. So let's just move it over just a little bit, and now we have plenty of space. So we can definitely try and get this recycling center in here now. Over here, I think if we just do it like that, we could just do it like that. We'll do it like that for now. Oh, perfect. Small village. What a great place to kind of leave off this episode. So now we got more points to kind of upgrade all of our services with. We definitely want to get some education up in here as well. I'm just going to unlock college for now, so we can start getting our citizens educated. I definitely want to get roundabouts and parking areas, and then probably should get some road services as well so that the roads don't break down. So now we've got a bunch of new utilities available for us. We still have quite a decent amount of money. We're still losing a little bit, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to raise our taxes ever so slightly to around 12%, so that we can start making a little bit extra cash and not be in such a big deficit. Because right now all of our money is coming out from service upkeeps and service trades. So I think it's just because we are importing electricity. We don't have anything, so we're trading all of this electricity, which is costing us a bunch of money right now. If we're able to produce our own electricity, that would be super helpful, and we wouldn't have to worry about losing so much money. So we might start doing that in the next episode. But for right now, this is kind of what we're working with. I want to get this recycling center all laid out for the time being. And we'll get some of this parking. We'll do a regular 2-lane road right along the side like that. And then we can get some parking in here as well. Okay, let's do a medium parking lot right here on the edge so that our workers have a place to park when they go to work. We will configure this in a little bit. We'll make it look super pretty. We'll probably put some trees and everything, but right now they have a place to park while they go and work at the recycling center, which will be super great for them. And yeah, we have a good arterial setup. I want to try and bring some more industry up toward the coastline a little bit and kind of fill this place out. We do have this really cool old building, Castle Ruins, which is really cool. Maybe we could have a road leading back there and make this some sort of attraction point. I do kind of like how this railroad goes along here, but I think we could... Oh, wait, no, this is where the train station's going to be. That's right. So the railroad would come along here on this side of the hill, come through here, go to the train station, go back out, and then hook up right here to this rail line, and then go this way and that way, which is perfect. But yeah, wow, look at all these houses. We're finally all zoned in. It's looking really pretty. Let's just get some basic vegetation going. I want to get some trees up in here. Let's make sure the intensity is all the way up. Get some trees in here. Make it look a little bit nicer. Yeah, so I think this is pretty bare bones for now, but I think that it's a good start to the city. I don't want to try and do too much right away. And I'm still trying to get used to this game a little bit and trying to get used to like how it all operates. But as you can see, we have this collector road that goes along this coastline, goes along here, and you kind of create this little ring road that kind of will go around. I think it'll be the perfect ring road, honestly. And then we'll have the highway that goes straight through and connect back up there. We'll probably do that in the next episode. And then we'll get our waste management facility down, and then we'll try and start working on some of our future railroad infrastructure over here while still zoning out more residential areas, some more commercial areas, and making the city bigger. So I think that's where I'm going to stop for now. Thank you guys so much for watching. I know this isn't the most exciting episode ever, but we are definitely going to be getting there, and it's all about getting a good base and making sure that we can keep building in the future and just build our city out. I can't wait to see what other kind of cities we come up with. And of course, give me some name suggestions down below for what you think the cities should be called. I'm always down for some suggestions about literally anything too. So if you ever have any comments or any suggestions about anything, any ideas, I'm totally open to including them in the builds. I want you guys to be a part of this as well. So leave a comment down below. I will try and do my best to get to all of them. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and we're going to end out on some cinematics so you guys can get the first sneak peek of this new county, Grand Haven County. Super excited to keep going, but for now, we're going to be signing off. All right.